guest tonight is the mastermind, as his bandmate described him. From guitars and keyboards to tech, he does it all. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Mr. Scott Landis.
Hello.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for indulging me.
Worse, anytime, man.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. I enjoyed talking with Steve on Sunday, and then now you're number two, and yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this kind of thing. So
Cool.
I actually think back to when I first met you guys 3 years ago, and I remember you were setting up the merch table up in Everett, and I kind of talked to you about a few things about your background, and learned a few things at that point. And but you have, as all the members of Alice do, a really extensive music background of what you've been playing, and different bands you've been in, and different people that you've worked with. And so just to kind of start off the top, and we'll get into the questions a little bit later in terms of the Alice-based questions. Where did you start with music? How did you get involved with music way back when?
Oh, man. Well, it actually goes way back. The first musical thing that I ever did was probably play the piano. I grew up in a household where we had a lot of music around, and my parents had a piano, so I was really lucky to have that. When I was 5 years old, I got music lessons on the piano, so that was basically how I started. Though a funny thing about that, my piano teacher's name was Lala, and I was deathly afraid of her because I used to watch Nickelodeon, and for whatever reason, like, they portrayed piano teachers as like the worst thing ever, like the worst people ever, like authoritarian, like, they're gonna whip you, like, like. But she was actually the nicest lady. She's like this old Russian, like, babushka, like, she was just awesome. But for whatever reason, I would just hide, and my parents would have to drag me out of the room to get me in front of the piano. But I just think I wasn't too into like the idea of anyone telling me what to do. So like I sort of grew up just with this spirit of like, I don't want anyone to tell me what I need to do. I just sort of discovered that. Well, I went back to music after that, and like, just having that there, it was nice to have around. But then I didn't seriously start pursuing music until I was like, early teens. I went to some sleepaway camps when I was younger, and like during the summer. So my parents would just send me off because they wanted to get rid of me for a little bit because they needed some peace of mind around the house. So a lot of the times at these camps, they need to like give kids stuff to do. And I was lucky enough to have like an arts program sort of camp. So I was in a position where I was actually able to play in a band. The first thing that I ever did was actually sing Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine. And after that, I was like, I want to be in a band for the rest of my life. Like, I love it. Like there's something so powerful about, just having a bunch of people in a room playing music with each other, like just live, and it was the most powerful thing. And I just never looked back. At that point, I initially wanted to start playing drums, but I didn't have that ability. Like, I'm sorry, I'm like going from thing to thing. Like,
no, it's good.
So basically in school, we had a band program, right? So we had, marching band and all that. So they essentially asked the students like, okay, what instruments do you want to play? And my first choice was drums. My second choice was flute. My third choice was clarinet. And this is actually before my band camp experience. So this is like going back to middle school now. So I was really into the drums because they make loud noises and they make things go boom. But they didn't have enough open spots for that. So it turned out that was given the only thing they had was the flute. So I actually learned how to play the flute when I was in like 4th grade or something like that. And so, yeah, I mean, just like multitude of different experiences and overall just being exposed to like a lot of rock and roll growing up. My parents were definitely like hippies, and there's always like the Beatles or some blues playing. Like my dad was like really into like old school blues, like from like back in the day, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and so I was exposed to a lot of that.
Oh, that's awesome. I know for myself, it's kind of similar that, and my mom saw Elvis and the Beatles live, so I heard that in the house. Both she and my dad were into Motown, and I grew up in the '70s, so I heard easy listening. I heard disco. I heard just a wide variety of things. And then I had an older neighborhood friend who turned me on to Kiss, and it was all over after that.
So, yeah.
I can totally relate. And I got the thing, for me, it was fifth grade where my parents were like, okay, pick out an instrument because you're going to sign up for band. And I'm like, I don't know. And they kind of narrowed it down based on availability, because in like the extended family, I guess some other instruments were like easy to be had. And one of them was a saxophone. So I thought, okay, well, I'll play the saxophone then. And I only did that for fifth and sixth grade, and then 3 years of junior high. And then in high school, I decided that I wasn't serious enough about it. I was just doing it for fun, to be around like lots of people. So, and at that point I was playing guitar. So everything moved towards guitar oriented things. I gave up saxophone and band and all that kind of thing. But in your case, having that kind of background with piano and flute, and when did guitar kind of become the focus?
Yeah, so that was definitely like when I was in my teenage years, and I had that experience at camp, and I was like, I want to be in a rock and roll, like in a rock band, like whatever I can do to do that. And it just planted the seed. I was maybe like 12 years old, and 12 or 13. And then I made it my prerogative to learn how to play guitar after that point. I had like a rough time, like when I was a teenager, like just didn't have a good time. But the one thing that sort of saved me was the idea that like I could commit myself to learning this instrument, to the point where like everything else just dropped off. Like I would wake up, first thing I would do is just start playing my guitar, and I would literally like play for like 12, 16 hours a day during the summer, like before school started, and just taught myself the guitar doing that. And it was like the one thing that just got me out of like this rut. And through that, I started playing with other people in high school. A good friend of mine, Jesse DeSanto, he was another guitarist that I met, and we actually, me and him, like started our first band together, like in high school. We were jamming for a while, and we were like, okay, let's start a band. And we immediately recruited a singer and a drummer and a bassist, and that band was called Relapse. So and it was just an amazing experience. We were out playing shows, like we would play like battles of the bands and all that stuff, and it was just a blast. And it just like really saved me from some horrible stuff in high school. And from that whole experience, like I just sort of figured life out, and that's what it's always been like for me ever since then. Music is just the saving grace for everything, in my life. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I know probably there's a lot of people that, a lot of the fans, I know even for myself, there's that same type of story that we can relate to. My teen years were not the easiest years for me whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't have, that's why I know for a fact, that's why I delved so heavily into music. That was my savior. Yeah. And if I didn't have that lifeline back then, I don't know what would have happened to me. It wasn't pretty. So yeah, no. That's why I think nowadays I revere music so much, because I remember back to that time and everything that it's given me. So, and it still gives me stuff today here in 2020. So yeah, it's amazing. It is. So for the folks out there that maybe missed Steve's interview on Sunday, what I've done is I've written 5 questions down that I can ask the members of AL1CE anytime I decide to interview them, and I'm only going to pick 3. So Steve obviously got 3 of them. That means there's 2 that I didn't ask, and then one of them is going to be be a repeat, something that I asked him that I'll also ask you, Scott. So you get the other 2. So that means Gordon and Tosh and Sasha and Carl are going to get it somewhat easy, because I've heard at least these 5 questions. And the 2 that I'm going to ask are actually, they're kind of related to each other the more I look at them. But so let's start off with this one. AL1CE is known for doing all kinds of things. I mean, from directing videos, and in your case, you get to be in the video, and you're doing the tech and the audio and the lighting and tours and business and everything. And there's so many things going on with AL1CE, and we all know that it's DIY. You guys are doing it yourselves. So what aspect of the band's endeavors do you enjoy the most? And you can't say everything.
No, that's a great question. So, I mean, for me, like I'm naturally inclined to go towards the sort of technological side. My day job, like I'm a programmer, software engineer. Like it's just one part of me has always been in music, and the other part of me is always just like have been always constantly tinkering with like computers. And my dream was to combine those two. And then it's very easy these days with synthesizers and sequencers and all kinds of stuff. So like a lot of the time, with Alice, I'm just inclined to go towards like all the technological aspects, even when it comes to the stream, like learning how to like set the stream up and creating a system where we could have like a solid stream and multi-stream out. Like all that stuff is really fun for me. So yeah, I would say like that's probably my forte.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. And just kind of staying on that topic with
Yeah.
developing the streams back in May and how to do all this kind of thing for the first time, being the tech person on that end. Were there times where you're pulling your hair out and dropping f bombs and that kind of stuff?
So many times on the first tour, especially. Oh man. I was literally, yeah, sometimes I would literally like be pulling my hair because I'm like, nothing's working and we're live and there's no sound. Oh wait, no, this band, we're part of the stream is to bring other bands on. Like we're trying to do a virtual tour, and every night we're like, okay, how do you do that? Like, how do you bring another band into a stream which gets restreamed back out? So like it's just taken months to just figure it out and make it like a smooth process. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't remember if it was the interim shows or sometime along that timeline, but I think you had told me like after the fact that something got bumped and like the whole system just went like crashed.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh man, that was probably one of the most nightmarish moments. It was during Jake's interview, actually, you and Jake.
Oh,
You know, accidentally the mouse got moved, and it's just so happened the mouse was like right over a scene selection for another scene in OBS, and all of a sudden, like he's just playing like the most beautiful part in Hallelujah. He's like, strumming away, and all of a sudden it's just like the Alice logo comes up, and we're like, shit, oh man. So yeah, it was just that was probably like the most horrendous moment. But it's like you think back to that, we were able to recover and we got back on track, but it was just like stuff like that happening. Luckily, like nothing like totally devastational has happened, devastating. But yeah, there's been some moments where it's like, okay.
no, I know and greatly appreciate everything that you do because when I started venturing off, and I'm not using OBS, I don't have that tech ability, so I'm like just using something.
I noticed you're doing your streams. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just using something that's already existing, and I still remember it was probably maybe my third interview or fourth interview back in August. Something happened that technology wise was failing me, and I was like to myself, where's Scott when I need him? I'm so used to just having you take care of everything. It's so easy for me. So no, I greatly appreciate everything that you've been doing during this tour for me.
Yeah, that's it. It's a pleasure. So
great. So that's question number one. Let's get to the other question that hasn't been asked. What new or even enhanced artistic aspect would you like to see incorporated into Alice?
Oh man. Enhanced artistic aspect. Like, can you describe what maybe a little bit more of what that would be? Like,
yes. So like you guys have so many different things, like you've had, dancers, I mean, there's, fire breathers, and there's, some other, is there something new down the road for a future project or even just an aspect to a show that you want to embellish it more, or something brand new that maybe you guys have not incorporated yet?
No, definitely. I mean, I'm always constantly inspired. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the band Pucifer, however you say it, with one of Maynard's many bands.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing, they just announced a couple days ago, they're doing a live stream from the middle of this like future desert oasis, like in the back country of Arizona. Like there's this town there that's supposedly it's just like, it's a man-made engineered town based on some sort of like strange philosophy, probably aliens involved, who knows, but they're basically doing like a live stream from this town, and they're doing it like in such a way that it's like it's going to be like this completely like I don't even know how to describe it. Like the idea is like they're having set pieces, like they're having obviously like they have a lot of resources and ability to like create like a huge production. And like for me, like something like that would be a dream, like whether it's a live show in person or doing streaming like we're doing now. But have like just imagine the ability to like have a show where you have like $100,000 budget for lights and stage production, and like for dancers or whatever it is like you want to do, like you can do it, like that would definitely be pretty amazing, I think. Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about recently, just because I was inspired. From a DIY perspective, it's like we always have to think like, okay, what can we do with what we have? So it's always like we're always just trying to like think of how to break out of the box of what a DIY band is, like it's always trying to be or do something that's like bigger than what we think is possible, and that's how this whole streaming thing came about. So
yeah, no, absolutely. As I've talked with other guests and talked with a lot of other people about that. You guys keep innovating and keep trying new things, and how do we kind of make this work? If you have the idea, it's like, well, let's not just sit on the idea, let's try to put it into reality.
Yeah, definitely.
And it makes sense too, like if Maynard's doing that kind of thing, that if some sort of budget started to fall into your guys' lap as a band, it's like, yeah, now we have even more opportunities to figure out. Yeah, no. So
like it's like, yeah, the second that happens, like it's gonna be like, oh man, so much we can do. And it's all like we could do all this stuff already, and it's just like on a shoestring budget or whatever, but it's like it's, we all dream big. So
yeah. And I think that's the way to go. Why look at something small? Why not look at it bigger and see how close you get to it? You don't want to be aiming down. You want to be aiming up.
Yeah, definitely. And like I also envision like a future where the band can bring more people on the road or hire more people, like having the ability to like work with more of the artists in our community, where we're like actively like just being a source of inspiration and work for people too, like we'd love to employ more people. So like definitely.
Okay. And let's see, let's go through the third question. What am I feeling like? Not feeling like that one. I think this was a good one. In one word each, describe the other members of Alice, including yourself.
Okay. Do you have any particular preference of who I start with first?
Nope, whoever you'd like to, sir.
Okay. And you said one word as an adjective?
One word.
Okay. So Sasha to me is just unafraid of anything. Like, when it comes to the work that she does, which is incredible. She stays up night and day, like working on these music videos and editing and everything. She never says no. And to me, like, she's never afraid, like, so I guess that would be one.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think of Steve, word that comes to mind is like steadfast. As a drummer, like he is solid as a rock. He's like a metronome, but also like he could kick a backbeat like no one else could. In that sense, like he's just like a rock, steadfast. And he also like that from a personality standpoint. Like he's just like one of the most dependable guys I know. Tosh, there's not a lot of words that I could think of that could describe her, because those words probably don't even exist, because she's one of the most amazing human beings I've ever known in my lifetime. But I think like one word that I could use is just like ferocious. And she's a person that will also fight like for everyone else around her. Like she puts everyone else before herself. You know what I mean? Like, and she will fight for you. Like once you're her friend, like nobody messes with you because Tosh, you know, she'll be right there like throwing punches basically. And which is she has done before on some Mankind is Obsolete tours. You know, people were messing with us sometimes. Like she would just get up in their faces and like we're like, oh man, Tosh, you know. Then we would have some like really good shows after that. Geez. Gordon, you know, mad genius. Like I feel like I try not to listen to too much of what Steve said because I didn't want to like, you know, take what he said or whatever.
Sure.
So hopefully I'm not saying the same stuff, but like to me, Gordon is his amount of musical genius that he has is like, it's like in like literally like if I was to be able to fathom what he could think about when it comes to music and all other stuff, but music especially, like he has an understanding that goes beyond, it's like of Einsteinian proportions, you know.
Right.
And Carl, you know, he's like the newest member of our band, and we definitely consider him part of the family and part of the band, like trying to get him to do more music stuff, but he's definitely there with everyone. You know, Carl to me, he's just very kind. I don't know. It's the best way I could put it. Hardworking, you know, and a really cool guy. Like, and he's also extremely loyal. Like, I think that's something you say about all of us. Like, we are all super loyal to the idea of Alice, and we're all like best friends and like family because of it, you know. Like there's not a lot that could like shake us, you know. Like we've been through a lot together. Then I guess does that just leave myself? Hopefully I didn't miss anyone.
Yeah, just yourself.
Okay, just making sure. So myself, that's not an easy one. Well, when it comes to my passions for like life and living and work, like when I think about work, you know, like a lot of the times like for the band and also for like my day jobs and everything, like I'm working a lot, like pretty much nonstop, like almost 20-hour days, like between band and my day job. But to me, like it's also worth it. Like I feel like my work, when I think of myself, I think of like work ethic of just like powering through, you know. Yeah, that's the best way I could describe it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts about all the band members. And I think they actually were different than what Steve had said. So that's okay. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And it's perfectly fine if they overlap. I mean, it would make sense too if they did, because I think you guys, like you said, you kind of have similar, you know, feelings towards each other and about what everyone brings to the table. So that would make sense too. So, and for those folks, you know, the members later that I interview, it'll be, you know, even more so that there'll probably be some overlap, because if they get asked that question, it's like, okay, well now this is the fourth person to be asked it or what have you.
Nice.
But
fun,
so what are you looking forward to in the future? Either Alice wise or just in general, what are you looking forward to as we have 3 minutes here?
Yeah. For me, always evolution, never being complacent. Like, you know, when I think about, again, like if I think about my job or like my music and what we do musically, it's all the same to me. Like, you know, the moment where you start feeling like you're in a routine, and you start getting comfortable, to me, like that's like a danger zone. Like I'm always wanting to keep on pushing to see what else is out there, you know, and like, and that's how I'm going to be until I feel like, and I hope so, until the day that I die, you know. Like I'm just that's what I want out of life. That's what I want out of music. Like when it comes to songwriting, like when it comes to our sound, like I want us to evolve, you know, when it comes to my work life, like I want to keep on like, you know, taking on more challenging things and working with people that are smarter than me, you know, and learning, you know. I think
Sure.
that's all there's. That's the best. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Again, it's and that goes right along with the I think the mentality that the band has as a collective of not being complacent and always being challenged and always discovering something new and educating yourself about something new and collaborating with new people and all that kind of thing. And as we kind of wind this down, I'm just curious. You mentioned earlier that when you were at the music camp in the summer, that I think you said you sang. Do you sing now?
No, I will refuse to sing because I can't stand hearing my voice back. Yeah, no, I'm good on that.
Okay, so we're not going to hear you like harmonize with Sasha and
I
Gordon
mean,
on
sometimes
something.
I'll sometimes I'll harmonize. You know, if they put a mic in front of me, I'll do it. But then, like, I'm always like warning people. You know, I'm like, you know, really want to hear this. So,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Scott, thank you so much, obviously, for taking the time and for having me on the tour and for doing everything that you do. I'm looking forward to the Bash Rock set tonight and everything else that we got going on. So again, I'll see you real soon.
Good, man. Thanks for having me, and thanks for being a part of this. It's been great
Yeah.
having you. Yeah.
All righty. I'll see you soon, sir. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Talk to you later.
Bye bye.